Great. It's a pleasure for me to be with you today. When I was asked if I would do this, I was specifically asked if I would lead a conversation with you on the process of ideation. I said yes, but I actually don't know what the word ideation means. So I went and did what any of you would have done. I Googled it. Wikipedia says that it is a contraction of the words idea generation. Okay, that works for me. That's interesting. It's similar to something that I think is really important, some great insights from Linus Pauling. Linus Pauling won 2 Nobel Prizes in his lifetime. There's a very small set of people who've ever done that. Okay, he's a remarkable creative genius. The way to get good ideas is to get lots of ideas and throw the bad ones away. Ideation would say, here's how we get lots of ideas. Okay? I think that focus is a little bit wrong. In my experience, getting ideas is not that hard. In my experience, the real challenge, the real art, is to be able to learn how to throw away the bad ones. So I would suggest that my purpose here today is talk to you not about ideation, but about ideating, which would be idea screening. Okay? So if you'll indulge me, we're going to talk today about ideating, which would be throwing away the bad ideas. Now, I want to suggest to you that ideas are a lot like feet. Everybody has 1 or 2, and mostly they stink. All right? And they really do. As you might imagine, I have people come to my office regularly saying, I've got an idea. Can we talk about it? And I say, well, sure, I'd be happy to talk about it. I do that a lot. And we start talking, and usually my role is to explain why it stinks or to help them discover that it stinks on their own. I want to help you get through that process of throwing away the bad ones. So what makes an idea a good idea? What makes an idea not stink? I would suggest 4 categories here, and they would be that you serve customers who have pain, that you deliver to them a solution that really solves their pain, that you deliver your solution through the channels that they're expecting, and that you deliver the solution in a market where you can enter, where you can compete. But the most important thing, by far, this is an ordered list, this is a priority list, the most important thing by far is to start with pain. Okay? Now, in my experience, when I say that, we need to spend a bit of time on a definition, because not everyone understands what I mean when I say that you need to start with pain. Now, there are a couple of things that people interpret when I say start with pain. Number 1 is physical pain. This guy doesn't have it yet. It doesn't hurt yet. When somebody has physical pain, they really have pain. But I'm not suggesting to you that you can only solve physical pain. But there's an odd self-restriction that I get when students come to me often, where they'll say, I have this idea, and I think it's really interesting, but it doesn't really solve a pain. It's a mobile game, for example, or it's a web app that does that serves some social purpose, and it serves more of a want than a need. And I say you've got to break yourself from thinking about pain as wants and needs. A pain, my definition, we'll call it the right definition. My definition is that a pain is any problem or unmet need that customers will spend their time or their money to have solved. Okay? In other words, what is the pain that the mobile game or that the game Angry Birds solves? How many of you have experience playing Angry Birds? Yeah, come on, more of you raise your hands. It's an interesting thing. Does it solve a pain? And the answer has to be yes. People spend time and money engaged in Angry Birds. The really interesting question is not so much whether it's solving a pain, but how it's solving a pain. Why does Angry Birds solve the pain so much better than all of the other mobile games and other game foundations that are available? And why does it do it so remarkably well to hold the public attention so well? When you start looking at the pain, it's much more important to understand what it is than whether it's there. If it's not there, you've got nothing. But understanding that there's something there and understanding what is there is really important. So you need to understand, for example, what is the problem that needs to be solved? People don't buy things, people buy solutions to things. What is the solution to? What is the problem that people need to have solved? What are the current solutions in the marketplace? And what are the workarounds that people are using to overcome the residual pain? So current solutions in the marketplace leave pain. They don't fully solve the pain. If there is a current solution, and if it is leaving residual pain, then the residual pain is your target. The residual pain is the thing that you're going to solve, and that's the place where you can get a great idea. You need to really understand who has it, why they have it. Can you recognize them? If you're walking down the street, can you say, there's my customer, and there's my customer, and there's not my customer? You may not be able to tell walking down the street, but can you tell online? Can you tell in your marketplace? Do you know who has your pain? Do you know why they have it? You need to understand in depth what the pain is, because if you don't understand what the pain is, then somebody else will solve it better than you. You won't win. More importantly, if you don't understand what the pain is, you'll be hard-pressed to get a customer to buy your solution, because you'll be hard-pressed to build a solution that really solves it. So here's a little example for you. And we'll go to the realm of physical pain. So suppose you've been suffering from gastrointestinal pain. Your doctor does some tests. You get diagnosed as having celiac disease. This is unfortunately a growing diagnosis in the US. And I pose the question, and think about it for a moment, what is your pain? Now, by the way, how many of you have been diagnosed with celiac? We'll probably have a few, yeah. Part of it is gastrointestinal pain, right? It's serious pain. It's real pain. But there's more to it than that, because with that diagnosis comes a life change. You get told you need to avoid all wheat and all gluten, so more generally than wheat, avoid all gluten. What does that mean? If you were told, those of you who haven't had this experience, if you were told avoid all gluten for the rest of your life, what would you face? You face the problem of finding out what has gluten. You face the problem of shopping, learning how to read labels. There's a time-consuming pain. Gluten-free goods are more expensive. There's that going on. Have any of you gone to lunch or dinner with someone who has celiac disease? Do you know how awkward that is? They're saying, I can't eat any of that stuff, and you've been all well-trained by your parents. You say, oh, I can't eat these things in front of you. The gluten-free person is saying, please just eat these things. Oh, but really, don't you want some? No, it will hurt. But really, you have to have some. No, I have to not have some. It actually becomes difficult to go out in social settings where food plays such a role, at least in the US in social settings, and to be able to say, I can't eat that, and have that focus turned to you. You become a kind of social outcast, or there's this social difficulty you face. I speak to this because I'm gluten-free, not because of celiac, but because of other issues. And another thing that you face, another source of pain in this case, is the sense, a sense of identity. Am I broken? Right? Look how I'm different than others. Look at the way that my life has to go. Look at the changes that I have to make. Am I broken? Is my identity compromised because of this? I have to worry about what ingredients are in the things that I eat. I have to worry about what are the quality and the sources of those ingredients. All of these things are pains that people have beyond the obvious. You could look at the numbers and say, wow, celiac disease is rising and it causes pain. And it's true. But until you get into the shoes of someone who has it, you don't really understand the pain that they're facing, and you're likely to miss. If we could, as a group, solve celiac disease today, we would win, right? That would be a fabulous thing. We would make the world a better place, and it would be a profitable thing to do. The reality is we probably won't solve celiac disease today, and we probably do have an opportunity to solve the myriad other pains that people have as they suffer with this disease. So, if the key is pain, then the real question is, from an ideation or ideating perspective, is how do you find it? And I want to urge you, this is really important, you don't start by asking. Don't go to customers or potential customers and ask, what are your pains? What are your pains? What are your pains? Because for the simple reason that we all have a difficult time articulating our pains. It's really not an easy thing to do. If I were to walk around and interview every one of you and say, what is your pain today? You could name a couple, And I could work longer and find more because we all struggle with articulating pain. It's mostly because we're accustomed to living with pain and because we're good at workarounds. And we become so good at workarounds, we consider workarounds a success story rather than a pain to be solved. As a result, asking people what their pain is rarely a good place to start. The right place to start is with an exercise in observation and empathy. This comes out of the tradition and the literature of design thinking and design in general. Ideal, for example, talks to us a lot about these activities. So for example, we want to listen to what people say, we want to watch what they do, we want to think what they think, and we want to feel what they feel. And as we engage in those activities, we gain a much deeper sense for what pains they might have. So task number 1, try to articulate. What bugs you? Build your bugs list. If you're looking for pain, look for your own personal pain. And if you've got something where there is a serious pain, there's an opportunity. I have students every year come up with these wonderful things from their bugs list. Things that are related to diabetes, to celiacs, to finding a parking place at BYU. Zoom Park, the winner from 2 years ago, came directly out of asking the question, why is it so hard to park on campus? I wish there was a better solution. And it migrated to something much, much more interesting than that and really a nice business. So build your bugs list. But if you don't have a pain that needs to be solved, and even if you do, you need to verify that other people have it, then you need to start helping people to articulate what their pains are. Engage them in conversations. Asking them, what is your pain? Probably won't work. Getting them to talk about their lives, learning more about them. As we talk about our lives, we tend to talk about the things that we face. We tend to talk about the things that we're doing. We tend to talk about our successes and our failures and the things we're working on to overcome. And as we talk about those things, we unintentionally reveal the pains in our lives. And that's how you'll learn them from people. Try role-playing. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes and have this experience. There was a hospital in California that had terrible, terrible ratings of their waiting room, their emergency room. They hired IDEO to study it. They put a man on a gurney, one of the designers at IDEO, put him on a gurney in the emergency room, taped something to his chest that said, "I'm not a patient, don't cut me open," and they put a camera next to his head. And he went through the whole emergency room process, right? Beautiful thing. What did he see? Most of the time, I know this is dim, most of the time, this video camera showed ceiling tiles and fluorescent lights. There was nobody looking at him. There was nobody talking to him. You think about your experience in an emergency room. You're frightened. I mean, you're there because you need to be, right? You're in pain. You're frightened. Is this serious? Is it not so serious? That insight alone led that hospital to hire one person per shift who would walk around from patient to patient saying, here's why you're at this station. Here's the test that they're running for you. The doctors will be back to talk to you. They're going to make this decision for you. Here's what's coming next. All they had to do is explain, here's why you're looking at the ceiling tiles you're looking at, and their ratings went up enormously. Quality of care was completely unaffected, but the patient's perception of care rose dramatically and made them one of the top hospitals in the area. The point is that it's the perception of people's pain that really, really matters and that you have to get to, and role-playing can help you get there. Job shadowing is another. Go watch what people do. Watch how they work. Watch what they struggle with. Watch what's hard for them. Watch what's easy for them. Watch what they're trying to do and watch what they're failing to do, and you will get insights. Another great team from our competitions from 2 years ago came directly out of shadowing and learning about an industry from the inside out and building a business that was very good. One method that can help you overcome the challenge of articulating pain is building a prototype. It's hard to communicate in words. It's much easier if you have an artifact sitting in your hands. In this particular case, this is another hospital example from IDEO. The IDEO people were talking to a surgeon who needed a device, and they kept saying like this, and he kept saying no. IDEO person went out to his car, he got a clothespin, This is the container to a roll of film, right, from back in the silver halide film days. And this is a dry erase marker, as you could tell. Taped them together, handed it to the surgeon and said, like this. The surgeon said, almost. I need the angle different here. I need it twisted like this. And in 10 minutes, they had it figured out. It wasn't so much a solution process as it was an object to talk around. It was an object to use for articulation. That's what's hard. It's hard for your customers to tell you what's wrong. You need to give them opportunities. So engage them in storytelling. Engage them in storytelling, engage them in conversation, engage yourself in observation, use prototypes to have that. A great story that's very recent. Gillette had gone to India, massive population, 1.3 billion people, half of those men. They had tried to enter in the shaving market. They brought in a product that completely failed. They tested it in the US, and it was wonderful. Took it to India, and it was a dismal failure, and they were very confused. We're really good. We know shaving. And they bombed. They took a large team of engineers and managers into India, visited 300 homes in rural India, and watched people shave. And they found out two critical things. One, that men in India don't have running water when they shave. And number two, that men in India are spending most of their time trying to avoid to be cut rather than trying to get a close shave. Completely different mindset than what Gillette was accustomed to. Gillette built a new razor. This is that new razor, and it has a focus on safety. It's very light, it's very cheap, and it has enormous market share in a short amount of time, worth a great deal of money to Gillette. Fabulous example of how getting out and talking and working and watching will change it for you. So get out, learn what people have. So to summarize, there is no solution that you could build that is so good that you can overcome the problem of no customers. If customers don't have your pain, then they won't buy, and you will fail. So you have to nail the pain. You have to get it right. Customers have to have real and enduring pain, and they will pay you to relieve that pain for them. And often they'll pay you handsomely for it. And you find it by observing and hypothesizing and asking customers. So if you want a great idea, have a lot of ideas, throw away the bad ones. The way to do that, both finding ideas and throwing away the bad ones, is go find some real pain, and you will succeed. And I look forward to seeing some really great businesses built on the pain that you find when we come back to the competition next year. Thank you.